Thank you for joining me this evening. We're going to continue our study in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and we're talking about the fact is that the word used in Matthew 24 is the word elect, is talking about the nation of Yasharel or Israel, and it has no reference to the church whatsoever. And this is an important fact because this is where a lot of misunderstanding occurs as far as the timing of the rapture. I believe in a pre-trib rapture, meaning that the believers, the church in the church, born again Jew and Gentile believers, will be caught up before the 7-year tribulation, which will begin. It's also referred to as Daniel's 70th week or Jacob's trouble. This time frame is all about Israel. It's all about dealing with the nation of Yasharel and bringing them to a point of desperation, and in their tribulation they will seek him. You'll find this in Hosea chapter 5 verse 15. The Yahuwah, our Creator, declared that in their misery they will seek me. And so he was talking about this time frame that is referred to as Jacob's trouble or Israel's trouble. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. That's why when we talk about Jacob's trouble, we're talking about Israel's trouble. It's not the church's trouble. It's not appointed. We have been not appointed to Yahuwah's wrath or anger, and this time frame is definitely a time frame of his anger and wrath being released upon the earth. So I mentioned the fact is that the word elect can be referred to, can have reference to the church, but you'll find that in the New Testament and being used by the Apostle Paul. And of course that word could also mean chosen, but its meaning is a set apart group of people is what this is talking about. But there's separate groups of people that Yahuwah is dealing with, as we've already pointed out in the past teachings, that the Yahudim or the Jews were and are called Yahuwah's chosen. In the Old Testament, in the Tanakh, you'll find this to be the case. And in the gospel here, this is when this word is used in Matthew 24, it's making a reference to the Jews or the Yahudim. Now, in particular, in Matthew 24, when the Messiah is speaking, he says, and again describing this time frame, he says in verse 15, "When therefore you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whosoever reads, let him understand." And of course, he's making a reference to the abomination of desolation, which this will be in the temple, the rebuilt temple, which will be there, and it will be the place where the Antichrist will desecrate the temple, and he's making reference to this time frame. He says, "Let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains," or in Israel or Judah. This is making reference to this. Judea is Yehuda, and then he says, "Neither let them which are on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight may not be in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day." See, this is all Jewish, this references. This has nothing to do with the Gentiles. That's why this is a reference to the tribulation period, and but it has nothing to do with the church in these verses here. And then he says, down in verse 21, "And then there shall be great tribulation, such as what's not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Now again, the word elect is used here, but it's not. This is not a reference to the church. It's a reference to the nation of Yasharel, and we know that through our study that 1/3 of the nation of Israel or Yasharel will come through this trial and survive this time frame. 2/3 of the nation of Yasharel will die and perish during this time frame. But 1/3 will believe on the Messiah. They will recognize the one whom they have pierced, and they will call out to him, and he will rescue them and save them. At the Battle of Armageddon, he will rescue them just as he has promised to do throughout the scriptures, to take care of them. As soon as they recognize him and they call upon him, he said, I will answer them. So this is a reference to the nation of Yasharel. It has nothing to do with the church. Now, if you skip on down, and we had mentioned this in our last session, about in verse 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then he goes on to describe that then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, and that all the tribes shall mourn on the earth, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. This is not a reference to the rapture. This is a reference to the Jewish believers, the ones that have died and are in heaven, and of course those that are on the earth that have been saved during this tribulation time frame will be gathered together. And of course they're gathered together so they'll be able to enter the natural kingdom on the earth here of the millennial reign of the Mashiach. And this is what this is about. It has nothing to do with the rapture or the gathering of the church. So with that said, I hope you can see that this is proof that the tribulation, the rapture, does not happen at the end of the tribulation. These verses all have to do with the nation of Yasharel. The church has already been raptured at the beginning of tribulation, because we, as I've said a number of times, we're not appointed to Yahuwah's wrath, because we have obtained deliverance through Yahushua HaMashiach. May these words bring comfort to you tonight, and please share this with others. And until next time, shalom.